I was gonna do like an elevator. Like,
Oh, do it.
hello. Oh, hi.
So thank you for being here today, Cooper.
Yeah, it's like my biggest pleasure.
Mm. You know, I found out a thing when I was doing a little bit of looking into the dynamic, between actors and coaches and kind of what's out there publicly. There has never
Tell
been a
me.
conversation like this,
You're so right.
like ever.
You're so right.
Because I
I've
think,
never seen one.
no, it's an interesting one, because that actor coach dynamic's quite an elusive one to the public eye. When really the truth is that a lot of A-list actors work with coaches when preparing for big opportunities. I mean, you got Michelle Williams, Jessica Chastain, Sam Rockwell, like all amazing, talented humans still making that choice, to invest in collaborating with someone and doing that work before you capture major concert.
A lot of the time, it's very necessary,
Yeah.
for
Why do
sure.
you think a conversation like this hasn't happened before? What comes up for you? And then also what's made you want to sit down and talk with me today?
I think, well, it's a very intimate
Hmm.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
very intimate relationship, the
Yeah.
process. And so I think maybe actors are perhaps like protective
Yeah.
of their process or of their coaches or of
Yeah.
the people that they work with. But for me, I want everyone to know how amazing my coach is and the work that we do because I think it can help people,
Mhm.
actors better their craft and their love for what they do. At least that's what it
Yeah.
did for me. So,
And kind of speaking on that, our journey, right? We
hmm
go back a wee way.
we go back a wee
We
way.
make a wee way. What was it? Because obviously, I mean, you've trained as well and you've worked with other people before and
Mhm.
and you may still work with other people as well. But what
Yeah,
is it specifically about our dynamic that I guess especially for a life like Eric and this
yeah.
opportunity that made you go, oh, I trust this and this feels safe for me and I feel like I'm going to get something deep and rich from this. What was it
hmm
about our dynamic that made you feel safe to go to those places?
Well, I remember our first class that I
Hmm.
was in with you on Zoom
Hmm.
during COVID. And I remember I did a take of one of the things, and then you had the breakout rooms or whatever. And we were in a breakout room for a second to discuss, and you just instilled in me
Hmm.
so much belief and confidence. And you were like, honestly, like, you're amazing. You really can do this. Like, you've got this. And you just, your like belief in me just sort of gave me confidence that I really needed at that time. I was feeling so like I've just been doing so many auditions. I've been working at this for so long. Nothing's happening. I'm in so many classes. I'm doing all this stuff. And like, I had a bunch of teachers before who were great, but who never sort of gave me that like championing
Hmm.
that I feel like a lot of actors need, even if they're not in the place where they're like, oh, it's any day now, you're
Yeah.
gonna get something. You've got to hear that. And maybe it's just, I mean, it could just be for me, but that sort of made me feel really safe and secure when working with you because I knew that you believed in me,
Oh, yeah.
but
Well, I
that
mean, it was a
also you
no-brainer,
weren't,
Cooper. It's a no-brainer.
thank you. But you also then would challenge me
Mm.
too.
Yeah.
Like you knew what I was capable of. So
Hmm.
then you could call me out when I wasn't, you know, I there was more to be
To dive in.
created or to
Yeah.
dive into. So I think, yeah, when it came down to, you know, working on Eric,
Mm.
I think it was just like a no-brainer of, okay, this is something that we're gonna have to tackle together and
Yeah.
help me, create. And you helped me before my test. We
Well,
did.
yeah, I remember when you sent me your first tape for that. I mean, we'd worked prior
Hmm.
on other things, on other tapes and on other
Hmm.
shows or gigs, but not actually for your initial audition for Eric. So you
Hmm.
sent me your tape and I was just blown away. You literally gave me goosebumps. And I remember saying to you and feeling like, okay, these guys, if this doesn't happen, something's wrong in the world. Like if it does, and then of course you had your call back and I think we had a little chat on the phone
Yeah,
afterward.
I remember. And
Yeah.
this is a big thing that I learned through you that
Mm.
I should definitely say is I had stayed in, meaning stayed in, like I was trying to be Eric the
Mm.
entire weekend
Right.
up until the callback.
Hmm.
I think I found out I got the callback on a Thursday, and then the callback was going to be on the following Tuesday. And I
Mm.
just tried to stay in that space of like anxiety and shame and emotions and grief and regret and pain. And like I just sat in that all weekend while I was,
Yeah.
watching testimony and
Hmm.
reading the sides and, making notes and just learning my lines and all that stuff. And then when it came to the callback, I went in and it just didn't feel as full as
Mm.
the initial audition had felt. And I felt like I didn't get it. And I called you after, and you were like, you have to. That's when I really learned the stepping in and stepping out. And
Mm.
you made that very important to me. It's like, if you're in all the time, you're gonna lose the potency of it, and
Yeah.
you're gonna dilute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I fully thought I had totally fucked it
No.
up
But
because
I
I
knew there was no way that you'd fucked it up. Because
but then that became a huge part of like doing the actual shooting of
yeah.
it, of trying my hardest to stay stepped out
Yep.
while I wasn't doing it, and then to step in when I was ready to do it because it was all there
It was.
and I just had to trust it instead of feeling like, okay, I have to stay here so I can keep this
Yeah.
thing. And then, you go to do it and then it sort of like evades, it sort of evades you. Is that the right word?
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I mean
Uh,
it's a thing you're chasing, I think. Perhaps mentally we sort of set a thing of scarcity, maybe in a way of going, I've got to stay in it, otherwise it's going to leave, as opposed to sort
mhm.
of flipping the perspective of going, I'm not necessarily becoming someone else. I, as one whole being, am stepping into this different world that exists on this different
Yeah.
timeline and this different reality. And I've gone through this stuff. So
Yeah. It is me.
it is you, different
Yeah.
name, different experiences, different all the things. So that kind of speaks to it. You had that experience in the callback, and then we chatted, and then of course when your screen test came through, of course, and little did we know that you were the only one screen testing. But we went and we did that session beforehand.
Yeah.
If you can cast your mind back, because then it's probably a bit of a blur, but from the work we did in that session, flipping it away from anything technical, that's kind of my jam. It's all, why am I
Yeah.
saying this? What do I want? What am I thinking in response to that? What's this, all of that kind of work, hacking your mind, if you will.
Mhm.
What was the byproduct of that work for you on the day in the room? Were you cognizant of it or was it sort of subconscious, do you think?
I think it's more
Yeah.
subconscious. Like, I don't think. I think I blacked out on that day,
Yeah.
which is the best.
The
But
best.
but I think having the session before
Mm.
was what allowed me to do that
Yeah.
freely. And it gave me the confidence and the trust in
Yeah.
myself that I could do it. And we created more. Like, I think you know, I stepped in and you maybe interviewed me
Interviewed. Yeah.
as him and uh yeah, we created. There's one thing that I remember very vividly that I don't know if it was from that session
Mm.
before the test or if it was while we were working on it
Yeah.
after I got the job.
Hmm.
But there was this one memory that we created of dad being like, um, did it hurt?
Mm.
And Erik, and then being like, yes, and then hit again, and then did it hurt? Yes, hit
Yeah.
again
Until you said,
until I said no.
yeah.
And I think I and you were playing dad, and it just got so real and visceral. And I think I like broke down afterwards, and it was so powerful. And I used that memory
Mm.
a lot
And
during
were you
filming.
consciously in the experience of it when you were on set? Was it something that you would consciously conjure, or did you find it coming up?
I think both.
Both, right?
Sometimes it would just come up,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be really effective.
Yeah.
But then there are times too when you're working
Yeah.
and you're feeling like, okay, like nothing's coming up for me. And so you do kind of have to go searching for something to affect you. And
Mm.
that was one that I went to. I don't remember though if that was during our session before the test or if it was while
I
we
think
were
it was during
working on
once
it.
you got it. I think, yeah.
Yeah,
And actually,
probably.
speaking of that, what was that like? I think you text me first. Can I call you? I can't quite remember.
Yeah,
That was it, right?
probably. Yeah,
And then, you know, all the
we
art.
freaked out.
But what was it like going from the um, experience or the pursuit, right, to then
Mhm.
getting it and going, holy fucking shit, like all the amazing things to, oh, now there's this mountain. And of course, I think, did you know, were they in the middle of a strike when you got it, or did that happen after?
Yeah, we were in the writer's strike
Right.
when we got it, when
Hmm.
we were cast, and then the actor strike happened like a month after, or
Yeah.
yeah, 3 weeks after, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just felt like it felt right. It felt like okay, it felt very relieving to
Yeah.
get it. So nerve-wracking to finally, to be at the end
Hmm.
of the,
Journey.
trials, as I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, the tests, as you said, like they weren't testing anybody else. Even though I didn't know that, it sort of felt too special for
Yeah.
it to go any other way. And so finding out that I got it was very relieving. And then I remember just working on it for those however long that was when the actors were striking.
Yeah.
And then the day the strike ended, like the stomach drop of
Yeah.
anxiety of like, oh fuck, like now I have to go and do it.